All right, here we go. We're on 3.3. We're going to do the distributive property. Should have learned this last year. This year we're going to be using negative numbers. So even if you didn't learn this last year, it's okay. We'll easily be able to do this. Okay, so distributive property, as it says here in cryptic way, basically says that when you have something like this, that you're going to just simply take the number outside and multiply it by both of the terms inside. So the way we read this, and it's important to start learning how to say things, this is negative 1/3 times the quantity, that's what this means, times the quantity, 3n minus 6. So therefore it's not just negative 1/3 times 3, it's negative 1/3 times both of the terms, 1/3 times this whole expression, both terms. So a lot of times we like to just draw the line, so we're going to multiply by this and then multiply by this. So negative 1/3 times 3/1, right? These are going to cancel, and I end up with negative 1/1, or negative 1, which we just call negative n. I have 1/3, negative 1/3 times negative 6/1. Okay, so two negatives make a positive in multiplication. I can cancel these out, and I end up with 2/1, or 2. All right, down here we're going to multiply the 5 times this negative 1x plus, and then 5 times 3. So 5 times negative 1 is negative 5x. 5 times positive 3 is positive 15y. Notice we don't ever drop the variables. The variables always stay intact. We just multiply by the coefficient. Note the coefficient of any variable that does not have a number in front of it is 1. If there wasn't negative 1x here, it would be 0 x's, and then we wouldn't even have that there. So there's always an assumed 1. All right. So let's look. They're going to try to get trickier. As you can see here, that as long as it's part of the quantity, so again, negative 3 times the quantity, negative 1 plus 2x plus 7. So it is times everything in here. I'm going to quickly do this one. So it's going to be times this, and times this. So negative 3 times negative 1 is 3. Negative 3 times positive 2 is negative. I need to erase that. So is a negative, because there's only one negative, negative 6x, and then negative 3 times positive 7 is one negative, so it is negative 21. Now, we have some like terms to deal with. We have a positive 3 and a negative 21. Different signs subtract, so we end up with 18, and keep the sign of the bigger number, so we end up with a negative 18. And then I like to keep my my x in front, so negative 6x minus 18. Oh, okay. Now, pause the video and see if you can figure out what's different there. Hopefully you realized that this plus 2n is not part of the quantity, okay? So it is negative 1/2 times 6 and negative 1/2 times 4. It is not negative 1/2 times this. This is outside of the quantity. So very quickly we end up with a negative 3n minus 2 plus 2n. We combine our like terms and we end up with negative n minus 2. All right, so this one down here, we have basically two quantities. We have basically two quantities here that we're going to go through. So this first one stays the same, 6d minus 5. And now I have a negative 8 out front, okay? So it's important to note this negative 8 is what we're going to multiply, not just, it's a common mistake to not multiply by the negative. So 8/1 times 3 fourths, and we end up with 6, and there's one negative, so it is negative 6d, and then we have 8 times 1, but they're both negative, so two negatives, so we end up with plus 8. Now we have 6d and a negative 6d, so hopefully 6d minus 6d, bye-bye, and then we are left with negative 5, positive 8, Different signs subtract, keep the sign of the bigger number, and our final answer is just 3. Okay, now, this is kind of a modeling real life. Square pool has a length of s feet. Okay, so this length here is s feet. And as you can see, they kind of stick it out to here and to here to show where the s is. Okay, so that's S, and then from here, let's go different color. From here to here is S. From here to here is S. And they tell us that how many 1-foot tiles does it take to border the pool. So they're showing us here that this is a square foot, right? So how many of these is it going to take? Well, we have, so we have right here, we have S, and then we have one up here and one down here, and we have the same on the bottom. So like what they're basically showing us is we have S plus 2 on this side, okay? So this here, simplified, is S plus 2, right? The S in the middle plus the 2 feet outside. Now that covers everything, right? But then these S's take care of this, right? So we've already taken care of this. So now all we care about is this, is what they're saying. So what we end up with is how many S plus 2's do we have? Well, we have 1, 2. So 2 times S plus 2. And then plus, how many S's do we have? 1, 2. Plus 2 S's. Distributive property, 2S plus 4 plus 2S. Simplify, we get 4S plus 4, so therefore that is our answer. All right, guys, if you have any questions, let me know.